Well, because we haven't spoken before, I'd love it if you wouldn't mind me taking you sort of right back to kind of when the performer in you kind of first emerged, how that kind of manifested. Was that sort of high school plays, or how did that sort of shape in your life?
Well, I can remember being in the high chair. Now I know but I really can remember being in my high chair and sort of performing
Yeah.
for my family. And there was a cartoon character at the time. It was a dog that when he got a dog biscuit, he'd jump up in the air in ecstasy at the taste of this delicious dog biscuit and then float down. And he'd go, "Mm." So in the high chair, they're giving me whatever they give babies, finger food. And I was trying to do this bit. So they're they're seeing this baby or toddler go, but I'm doing this bit, this coming, and trying to. That's stupid, but I do remember doing that, and I remember I was doing this, and I got a laugh, so I did it again, and I got a laugh, and you know, I'm doing this cartoon dog, and they think I'm just being a baby, but little did they know that was the beginning. And then my sister and I went to dance class, and there was a local production of Gypsy, the musical, and they needed kids. There's my flag. There's Nero. Um, a local production of Gypsy. And the first scene is Uncle Jocko's talent show, which is a kiddie talent show. And so they went to the local dance school, they recruited us, and we were in this musical. And I played this little baby tap dancer. And I remember it like it was yesterday, that, you know, um, the excitement of places and being behind the curtain and everyone being placed and the curtain going up and the lights and the audience and the laughter. And I was hooked. That was it. That was it, you know. Um, so from a very early age, you know, I, I'm not saying it's an admirable quality, but and the thing about Gypsy is so funny because I loved it. If that's gonna be the first show you're in, that's the one to be in because it's the greatest musical ever written.
Yes.
Certainly the best book. And I would watch, and there's a scene with the burlesque strippers, you got to get a gimmick. And I didn't understand that they were supposed to be blousy and broken down. And, I didn't know that. Or I certainly didn't, I didn't get the idea that there was anything wrong with stripping. So that was another goal of mine. No. So, the whole thing with uh, Gypsy being this elegant stripper and with the long white gloves, you know, I was very taken with that and the fun and I didn't see the tragic side of it at all. I was too young to understand that this woman was kidnapping children to be in her vaudeville act. Um, and like I said, and like um, the burlesquers, the strippers were supposed to be sad and broken down, but it's kind of good because that's sort of been something that I've lived and observed is the spirit that these women have. Okay, I'm in a second or third rate burlesque house, but I'm on a stage and I'm going to give it my all, and they all had their gimmick and they took very seriously what they were putting out there, you know. So that's how it started.
Yeah. Well, as you say, what an amazing first show
Yeah.
be part of from to give you a taste
And
of it.
they're doing it again.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen the marquee
Audrey. Oh
is
my
has arrived,
God.
hasn't it? On Broadway.
Oh my God. So I'm like, I want to be, I want to be Tessitura. How can I be Tessitura? I'm sure they've cast it already. But I'm in my own Broadway show. You know
Yes.
what I mean? You can't be, you can't just,
You can't run from both because you only have one night off. Yep. Um,
exactly.
and so tell me a bit about what the New York downtown theatre scene was like when you arrived in the city and you were establishing your career.
When I got to New York, I was highly trained and I'd been in a lot of shows, and I was ready. But I was told if you transition, they're not going to want anything to do with you. They don't want to deal with it. Okay. So, and that is what happened. I faced a wall. The legitimate theater wanted nothing to do with trans actors. There was a couple of girls that managed to work stealth, but I was just beginning and I have a big mouth, so there's no way that I could keep that secret. So I was very fortunate. There was a rather thin layer of theater that was funded. You did get paid, not a lot at all. I mean, but you did get paid and you were working with amazing people. Um, and I managed to find a lot of employment, you know, um, so I worked at places like La Mama, PS 122, Theater for the New City. I did several productions with Taylor Mack, which was a dream come true. Taylor's pronouns are Judy. So I should say I love Judy and I love working with Judy. Um, and I worked with a theater company, Absolute Theater and Theater Askew. And so these were what you would call downtown queer theater. Um, and I was very fortunate because, like I said, you know, film, especially film and television were really, but the higher profile professional theater was also closed to me for like 25 years, before I managed to. And what was it like? Well, when you are funded and you don't have to worry about ticket sales, box office, um, they can cast who they want. There's no pressure to have names. Um, the scripts can be as innovative, as avant-garde, as, as upside down, as political as they want. So it was extremely, it was extremely exciting and free. And I mean, it's pure theater. You're not answering to anyone really. And um, I kind of thought, I wanted to come to New York and I wanted to be a great Shakespearean actress, you know. And I mean, I wanted to do everything, but we were classically trained and I really wanted to get involved in shows, classical theater and Shakespeare. And I ended up being in the most avant-garde, modern, crazy, cutting edge stuff. And I loved it, and I loved having come from a more formal training and having done so many of the classics, then to be involved in that and sort of being able to add, you know, my experience to the mix. And what's great is, you're more of a collaborator, you know. So, someone like Taylor Mack, like there's many things I would come up with in rehearsal that I would improvise. And Judy would say, keep it, do it, put it in. Um, and Cole has certainly been like that with Oh Mary, but when you're dealing with a script like Oh Mary, you don't want to mess with it, you know. So it wasn't highly collaborative like the things downtown. Um, and at the time, they had what you would call male actresses. So you had Charles Ludlam and Charles Bush and Everett Quinton, who were gay men who often played female roles. And so they would say, that's a male actress. And even though I was beginning my transition, people assumed that's sort of what I would be doing. But I never managed to really get into those companies, into that world. And although none of the people I just mentioned said this to me, people around them involved said to me more than once, if you're becoming a girl, you're a girl. If you're a girl, it's not funny anymore. And so another place where I was kind of shut out of, not like, they had my name on the bulletin board. Don't let this bitch audition. No, no, no. It just was seen as something that wouldn't really work. Or at least that's how it was expressed to me by several people in the scene. But not those gentlemen in particular. I'm a great friend of Charles Bush, and I worked with Everett Quinton after many years. He was a neighbor, a wonderful man, and it didn't really happen, you know. So, but that was a lot of it. There was obviously a lot of women that were writing feminist plays that were just, breaking down the patriarchy, the queer stuff. There was a lot of people of color that were becoming part of the down sound scene and embracing that freedom and the stuff that would come out. And even the drag scene, you had the Boy Bar and Jackie 60, and that was completely cutting edge. And they were not just impersonating celebrities and pop stars, they were writing skits and parodies and plays. And so it was very exciting. People were taking things and turning it on its head, and the drag balls, and the sense of performance was very exciting, because so many of us were outside of the mainstream. It's very different. It was just very exciting. And you met these people, and unfortunately some of them passed during the height of the AIDS epidemic, and some of them are now passed as they got older. But who knows what Charles Ludlam would have written. Yeah. And it is odd that we've kind of moved on, and I don't know if we forget, but there's another generation, and they're involved in where they're coming from. And I'm not even sure if a lot of them realize there was a lost generation. Thousands and thousands of artists died and almost had to start over in some ways. It was,
Yeah. So let's come forward to O'Mary and when you sort of first became involved in it, and if you maybe talk a little bit about kind of shaping the character. I mean, you're originating the character of Louise and Bill.
yes.
So maybe if you could just talk a bit about sort of shaping the character in rehearsal, your approach to playing, particularly Louise, Mary's chaperone.
February 2023, I was asked to do a developmental table read and in the CAA offices. And I'd heard of Cole because Cole was uh, very loved and respected in the community as this brilliant comic and had done so well at Joe's Pub and all these amazing videos and had done a lot of work in cable as a writer and as a performer. So very much a favorite, but I'd never met them. So when I went in and we read it twice and the producers were there, so I knew something was going to happen, you know. I knew right away it was special. I think we all knew there was something very special about it. But what's happening now is kind of beyond our wildest dreams. Um, and I had a sense that after that, I was unofficially attached, you know. And a year later, I got the offer to do the show downtown off Broadway at the Lucille Lortel. And so we did it there, and I was very nervous. I mean, I knew it was special. You knew immediately in the rehearsal room, you almost heard a click. You know, it was almost audible because you just knew this is the right cast, the right script at the right time. Creative team was perfect. I even loved our producers. That says something. I adore, we have like 4 producers, and I love each of them. They're fantastic. And they believed in the project. And we opened and we got great views, and it was selling out, selling out, selling out. There's only 300 seats at the Lortel. So people were complaining they couldn't get tickets, you know. So I'm old enough to know if money is being made, you know, if people are making money, they want to keep making money, of course. So we were, I don't even know when in the run, but maybe a couple of months into the run. When then we extended a couple of weeks, and then we extended like 5 more weeks, and then another week. But we couldn't extend anymore because the Lortel had to repair their air conditioning system. Yeah, they needed they needed the theater to be empty so they could redo the whole thing. And it was getting hot. It was May. We went to May 10th, I think. And it was getting hot. And in those hoop skirts and corsets and wigs, it was like, okay. So we had a few weeks, maybe a couple months, we were called into a meeting until we were going to Broadway. And of course, we all screamed and jumped up and down like kids. It wasn't really a surprise because I have friends that hear everything, you know. So I'm told, I heard you're going to Broadway. You know, I don't know. I don't know. It's very exciting. So when we left the meeting, a few of us, we went to the Lyceum Theater, and outside the Lyceum Theater, these columns. It's really beautiful. There's a Lyceum, I think, in London too.
Yes.
But this is the Lyceum Theater in New York. And It's a beautiful theater. It's the oldest, or one of the oldest, Broadway houses that has continuously uh, been open. And it was amazing. And it was amazing and exciting and humbling and unreal. And so we had to finish at the Lortel, and then we had a month off, and then we went back into the room. So how is Louise formed? Louise is a very fascinating character to me because it's very important. She's the only other female character in the play. So how Mary interacts with another woman is important, you know. And the scenes are very quick. They're highly energetic. There are some longer scenes that, you know what I mean? There's time, but Louise doesn't have, Louise is on, she's off, she's on, she's off. And sometimes she has to go from one, utter bliss to a broken heart to raging anger in seconds, you know? So that's my challenge, but I'm an experienced actress, thespian. So I do it. I figured out how to do it, and I do it. And that's her. She's high. She says something at one point like her heart is flapping like a hummingbird. Well, she's a hummingbird. She's humming. She's do. So, I had to learn how to turn on a dime.
Yeah.
But she's very important to the plot, and I think her relationship with Mary is very important too. So at the Lortel, my characters usually have a lot more edge and elan, sophistication, you know? And so Louise 1.0 would sort of see things coming a little bit. Is that? No. No, wait a minute. No. Louise 2.0 is very much the same character, except she is not sophisticated. She is a true believer. She's a believer in the goodness of the world, and the way things are. And she absolutely adores Mary and does not see the she doesn't really see the I don't even know what word to use, the curmudgeonly side of Mary, until the penny drops. And then she sees, this woman isn't my friend. So, there's no seeing things and worldliness at all. It's complete love and adoration, and then boom. I've done, and then you're just not my friend. And so that was an adjustment. So I had to get more into the happy, positive. Sometimes my preparations is I will watch videos of puppies and kittens. She just has to be that hopeful and that innocent. And I've grown to love her very much. Some of the reviews would say she's prim, she's prissy. Okay. I mean, if that's how you experienced her from an audience point of view, that's fine. That's how I see her. To me, she's the epitome of 19th century womanhood. And in earlier drafts of the script, it specified that she was Abraham Lincoln's cousin. So the concept was that she was brought in like an early version of a PR team or spin doctors. She was brought in to soften Mary. The president's wife is problematic. She has a temper. She hangs out in dive bars. She wants to perform in public. So I'm brought in to teach her how to do watercolors and embroidery and respectable pursuits for a 19th century lady. And Louise does her best. And she does it with love. I think she has a big old girl crush on Mary, and she just wants Mary to sleep over and they can braid each other's hair and make s'mores and talk about boys. And that's not how Mary sees it. So, and we went back into the room as we went back into rehearsal. And I think we only had a week. And then we had to go into the theater, which for a show that you've done like 120 times is enough because you're tweaking, you're fine-tuning things. And they very much wanted the same show. Sam Pinkleton, the director, was adamant about it being the same show, basically. And in different words, I'm paraphrasing a lot. What Sam was telling us was the one thing the show doesn't need is any more jokes. It's nonstop laughing. I mean, that's what we keep hearing. They never stop laughing. So that's the one thing we really, so you stop trying to be so funny because you have your moments. It's built into the script. We let you, a little bit, but we don't need, like there was one point where Mary embarrasses me in front of the president. Terribly, after promising not to. And one night, as Louise is going through her conniption, should I run out of the room? Should I hide under the desk? I started to think and I caught myself. And Sam said, when you almost fainted last night, when Louise almost fainted last night, that was hilarious. Don't do it. We don't need it. And Sam's direction was very much about when. And Cole, even though Cole is the playwright and the lead, Cole would very much listen to Sam. If Sam would say, don't do that funny voice here. Not in this. This scene is straight. And it's very fast paced. And Sam would be basically no air, come in on the left, don't wait. And I think a lot of the success of the show has to do with that pace. Obviously, they love the script. They adore Cole. They react. They seem to think we're a very strong ensemble that works very well together. And I would agree if I say so myself. But I think in the second round, we earned a couple of pauses, just a couple. And so Sam was basically, what could we do besides trying to be funny? Go deeper. Let's look at the stakes. Let's raise the stakes. Let's really make sure we really know what these people want and what happens if they don't get it and how, and deepen the relationships, So I was pushed in the direction of, that. And there are moments where I would make a funny voice, like manure, and I said, no, this moment is real. this is real. If you allow your heart to be broken, if you open up and you feel it, the audience will feel it too. So I thought about it and I said, so you want me to act? Yes, we want you to act. So the idea is that it might as well be Morning Becomes Electra from a preparation standpoint. Like we have, we take it deadly serious. And the reason it's funny is because, well, I don't have to explain why it's funny, but, the circumstances, some of the dialogue, the way these people express themselves, and it becomes hilarious, but we have to really act it. So, not that we weren't acting it downtown, but that's what we just said. We decided the only thing we can really add to it is a little more depth, because now we have the time and we've earned some of those pauses.
Comedy is often underrated, and
Yes.
compared to drama, and it's really great to see critics and audiences just appreciating O'Mary in the way that they are, from that point of view. Because as you were saying about the way that Sam's directed it, so beautifully calibrated, and the energy that you're sort of passing back and forth between you as a cast. Particularly, most of your scenes are with Cole, and I love the dynamics of that relationship. So I don't know if there's anything more you want to say about that. Yeah.
I spend a lot of my interviews praising Cole, but it's all true. It's when I was in school, they said the most important person is your scene partner, and as a kid, I was like, whatever, I could act with a broomstick, and I have, but it really is true. You're out there, and it's sort of like being on a trapeze, and I'm going to catch you. I'm here. I will catch you. Go for it, and vice versa. And to know that it's the two of you, and you have each other's back. There's 900 people that are going, all right, what's so great about this? But and I just think it's very exciting to I do get we've carved out a few moments between Louise and the president, which are very precious to me. So over the years, it really is. I put more and more of my focus on the other actor, on the other character. And, there has to be some point where you're facing forward, and we try to tilt up a little bit every once in a while because we love them. Those are our people. I once called our fearless leader, and they were like, okay, now. But it's true. It really is true. I mean, when you have someone, if I have several interviews sort of, and I start to feel, oh, I see Cole doing it and never complaining. If I feel tired about, okay, it's 8 shows a week, I'm tired. I see Cole doing it with this huge role and singing and never complaining. So it is inspiring. And but it's just great to work with somebody as an actor that never half-asses it, and we're out there and we're in the moment. I hate to use acting, but we are available and we're interacting, we're in the moment, and it's very exciting. I mean, to work with someone so talented that, it's great. It's thrilling.
And
I should say, if my if my line reading is slightly different, Cole will instantly adjust, you know, and I think that's amazing. I mean, this person has like a computer, is super sensitive. Things happen in the audience, and I don't even know. But Cole is so present as Mary, and then also, you know, there was an argument over here. One person left to go to the bathroom. I did see someone go and go to the bathroom, you know.
Because there's no intermission.
No intermission, but
We'll
it's
forgive
very
them,
quick.
but go before, exactly. Yeah.
It's
And
very quick, and I love that. If you
yeah,
can't say it in 90 minutes, significant exceptions. I was in a Taylor Mac play that was 5 hours long,
yes.
and people loved it. But for the most part, I think stuff needs to be much quicker.
Yeah.
Get to the point, get to the point, you know, because you don't want the audience to get restless. They love the beginning, they're with you in the middle, and then suddenly they're looking at their watches. You don't want that.
And speaking of Cole, though, I loved hearing that they saw you in Transamerica.
Yes. I was in the dressing room and I was, there was a group dressing room at the Lortel, and I was telling someone that how I got involved is Sam Pinkelton is family. I've worked with his husband, Andrew Russell, who is also a director, many, many times. And I was in a show in repertory with a show that Sam did the movement for. So I met him in Kansas City at Kansas City Rep. So I assumed it was Sam. And Henry Russell Bergstein is the casting director whom I've auditioned for many times. And I thought maybe, you know, and Cole turned and said, no, it was me. I said, but we've never met. He said, I saw you in Transamerica when I was 18, and I followed you ever since. So I said, what took you so long? It's been 20 years now. I didn't say that. So that's another reason, you know, I mean, it's like here is this dazzlingly talented human being that wrote the show, stars in the show, just inspires us. It keeps us going, ah, gave me the gig, or at least throw my name in the ring. And everyone was like, okay. You know, it is, people say, what would you say to young actors? And what I would say is, don't think of auditions as job interviews. Think of them as sort of an acting class. It's another chance to act and to learn and to interpret text and, you know, work in front of a camera, because these days you have to do it in front of a camera. And just think of this as a chance for the casting director to get to know me a little better. Because when you're young, you know, every audition, you go, oh my God, I would love this part. This would make such a difference. And it is hard when you're auditioning for something that could potentially change your life. But on a day-to-day basis, you just have to realize the numbers are astronomical. You know, it's a lot, it's the lotto. And you just got to keep playing every day and don't get too worked up about it. And the other thing is that as actors, a lot of times, you know, you audition for like, I don't know, like I auditioned for I auditioned for a medical show, and it was a painter, this woman that was a painter, and she painted the lobby of the hospital or something, you know. And when I went in, the only way I could say is that all the other women auditioning really looked like painters, if you know what I mean. They really look like painters. So, you know, you have to be really right for the part. And I would like casting directors have more imagination. So, oh, Bianca could play the quirky coroner, sure, you know, but you know, and in this case, it's like there's not many actresses that I know that could do the period style, the heightened speech of a 19th century lady, and the slapstick rubber face queerness of it. I mean, I'm sure there's a few, but most of those are big stars, so they're not available. One thing I hear over and over from casting directors and directors, and a friend of mine was in Pose, and I was talking to Brad Falchuk at Gwyneth's birthday party in the Hamptons. I was hired to perform. I was in their cast. And he said that the minute Dominique Jackson walked in the room, they knew that's Electra before she even opened her mouth. And I had said for a long time that no one else could have done it. Other people could have done it, but not. It was just the perfect casting of actor and role, And I've heard that many times, the actor walked in, and then I've gotten notes from the producers on opening night that said, the minute you walked in to that table read, we knew that's Louise. So hang in there. Yeah. It's got to be the right role at the right time.
Yeah, and I think, we've all sort of watched things and you can recast them, you start imagining different people, but with O'Mary, I couldn't for a second imagine anyone else playing the role. So
thank you. And no one else ever will. No. Did you notice that because you're forming a character and you make different choices, and some of them are very much script based, and some of them are just, let me do this. So for me, I wanted Louise to have a sort of what we call a mid-Atlantic, because she's these women went to finishing school, et cetera. So she says things like ice cream instead of ice cream, because that's how you guys say, would you like an ice cream? And then I made up, she says, hummingbird. I just made that up. She stresses odd syllables every once in a while. Yeah. So she says cartoon instead of cartoon. I don't know. And I don't know why it works, but it just does. And they let me do it. And sometimes people will come up to me after the show and they go, hummingbird.
No, I think little details like that are really delicious. Yeah. And it's an incredible audience to be a part of. I was lucky enough to be sort of third row center in the orchestra, which I shouldn't show off about, but it was such a
why not?
Wonderful evening. I've got my playbill.
Oh my God, it's fabulous.
So what is it like for you obviously, as you said, you're sort of in the moment, but to be on the receiving end of that much laughter, because it's an amazing experience to be in an audience, having that many people sort of laugh around you and feeling that energy.
Well, I will say that, I mean, I've been a comic actress for a long time, and I've done stand-up and cabaret. So laughter is my oxygen. So, but, we did get a lot of laughs at the Lortel, obviously, but when we transferred, and that first preview, or maybe it was an invited dress, but the first time we went on that stage, and there are similarities to the Lortel, the width. It's not a deep theater, so you can see the exit doors. It just goes way up. There's a second mezzanine. So it's sort of cathedral-like. And we weren't really sure, are we going to be able to fill it? And so that first performance, when it started and you heard the reaction and you would say some of the really, a lot of what Louise does is build these setups step by step. And then when the payoff finally happens and you could just hear 900 people laughing. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's exciting. You get goosebumps. You're thrilled, you're excited, you're humbled, you're grateful. It's spectacular, and there is not a day that goes by where at some point my breath isn't taken away and I say, I can't believe this is my life. I can't believe it. I'm fine. I mean, I had a perfectly respectable resume, body of work, but this is it. It doesn't get better than this. For the American theater, it's Broadway. It's a hit show. And uh, there's only 5 of us, and we're all working together as a team. And it's just miraculous. It's beyond my wildest dreams. And I think we all feel that way. I shouldn't speak for him, but I think, there's a gratitude, and that, in the old movies they would say, pinch me, I must be dreaming. I always thought that was so stupid. But I've experienced many times during this year, because we started rehearsing for the Lortel January 2nd, where it happened many times. I said, this cannot be happening. This doesn't happen in my life. I do good work. I'm pulled into projects where they need somebody to do some heavy lifting, or somebody's not available. I'm appreciated, I'm valued, but this does not happen. So there's been many moments I said, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to wake up, and it's all going to be a dream, and I have to, get to work, whatever. And it's a weird feeling. Sam would say, how are you? How are you? Good. Good. I'm great. I feel like a piano's going to drop on my head. Because you think, if something like this is happening, something horrible has to happen. So you just keep going.
But instead, you got extended, so that was
We got extended,
yes.
and we have a gig for many weeks, several months, and I'll have health insurance probably for a year, which is good. I already qualified for 6 months, and I'm sure I'll qualify for another 6 months, and that's a good thing. Not you have to work so many weeks to get the equity health insurance. So, that's wonderful. I'm trying to save money because, there are always gaps, because again, it has to be the right project. If the right role isn't in the pipeline, you're going to have to wait or do something else, or write a show or what have you, teach acting for a while.
And something you kind of touched on earlier, one thing that I felt as I was reflecting on the show afterwards, is the fact that it's a queer creator. So when it comes to moments like, or narrative points like Lincoln being gay, it made me realize I've sat through so many things where sort of that is the joke almost, rather than his reaction to it. And it's so nice to relax, to know that you're in safe hands with it, and we're very much in on the joke and not the butt of the joke. So I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add to that, but it just as a
well, that's the thing. I mean, I know, and like I said, I write comic things. I'm a stand-up, and maybe it does get frustrating for some people. Oh, we can't joke about anything. Well, is it the worst thing in the world to joke about your own experience, you know, your own people, you know. You say, I want to be able to make jokes about trans people. Well, I understand that. You feel frustrated, but isn't it kind of punching down to me? And, you know, I think the tradition of being a comic goes right back through the jesters and stuff, you know, you punch up.
Yeah.
But, you know, and so I think for queer people to write queer humor that can be very self-deprecating is not only more accurate, you know, it's coming from lived experience. And, you know, it's like there are actually quite a few trans comics at this point. And, you know, they're coming from lived experience. And there is a lot of humor, you know, and uh, I don't know. I guess I do feel that it is a safe space. Um, there is one heterosexual person in the cast, um, whom we tolerate. Um, but it's not even like that. It's like we're the cast. And I asked Cole point blank, did you cast me because I'm trans? And they said no. So I'm assuming a lot of it had to do with me fitting the part. But even if it was, okay, I don't want to be cast so that it's oh, we cast so and so with a man. Like I don't want any part of that. But if somebody says I want to cast as much family as possible, you know, I want trans people, non-binary, gay men, lesbians, even a straight person. We do need a lesbian. We will get a lesbian at some point. I promise you. Um, although I have to say, I've had more than one lesbian say there is an unresolved sexual tension between Louise and Mary. And I laughed and I said, well, I do think she has a big old girl crush. I don't think Louise even knows that two women can get down. You know, I think it's out of, she didn't even realize she'd had an orgasm. That whole speech is not about ice cream. It's about an orgasm. It was, oh, the ice cream. I said, no, don't you get it? I mean, the funny part is the ice cream. But the acting is, I'm telling my dear Judy that this happened to me. I saw stars, you know? And we did get a lot of questions were, oh my God, are you worried about how the audience is going to react and the tourists are going to react? And my answer is always no, you know. And my answer is, I say, Mae West wrote a play called Sex in 1927, and she sold out. You know, there has been adult comedy on Broadway since the beginning. You know, a little play called Oh Calcutta. You know, they were naked in hair at one point. So, but you know, and they were like, oh, the tourists. I'm like, first of all, if tourists are that homophobic, transphobic, lesbophobic, they're not coming to Broadway to begin with. You know, it's not like that these MAGA Broadway devotees. I mean, maybe there are, but you know, um, so and times have changed. Times have changed. Yes, we get a lot of family in the audience, but we get a lot of straight people and we get a lot of tourists. They've heard about it. And, I think one guy got up once and was like, oh, that's it. And he dragged his wife out. But, he may have thought it was a very serious biopic, which it is not. But yeah, I mean, maybe I'm naive, but I think the world has really changed. There is an incredible amount of hatred towards us coming from certain quarters. Um, People that really want to push us not only back into the closet, but under a rock. But I think they're a minority. I think they're a pretty slim minority that is going ape shit over our fuller participation in the world. You know, when you read between the lines, that's a lot of it. You know, okay, you do what you do to your body, but don't be on TV, don't be in films, don't be on a beer can. Like, why? You know, like sort of a mere existence, but not in the public sphere. That's not acceptable. You know, sorry, this is the world. It's the world. If you want to shelter your children, that's fine. A trans person in a beer can is not going to hurt your child, especially when your child has access to the World Wide Web. That's what you should be concerned about. You know, not us, you know, participating in film and television or being on a beer can. Hi, Dylan. I love Dylan Mulvaney, by the way. She is so lovely and is now a dear friend of mine.
Oh, good. Yeah, and in Edinburgh at the moment, doing a show on the Fringe.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about Edinburgh. I was there in 94, and then I was there maybe 2017, 20, I don't know. It was like, I think it was like 21 years apart. I'm not good. But the first time it was I mean, global warming is horrible, but the silver lining is the summers in Scotland are fabulous now, you know. Um, it's a lot warmer. The people seem to be warmer. I mean, the first time we went, there's a lot of crabby older Scots people that were bitching and moaning about the visitors. And now it's a little, I don't know, it's a little looser, it's a little more fun. I love Edinburgh. I met a lot of the queer people in Edinburgh are just like the East, like they are cutting edge and getting into performance art and mixing genres and redefining everything from the ground up. And I made so many great friends there. The first time we were at the Traverse Theater and we bombed. And there's nothing like being in a large theater with many productions and you're all excited to be there together. And then you get terrible reviews and suddenly people are sort of avoiding you. And you have to do your 2 weeks or whatever. And I think we managed to build up a good audience by the end. And the next time I went, excuse me, was with Paul Lucas's transcripts, and we were a hit. And we got the 5-star reviews, and we got the interviews and awards, and it was great. Big difference being the toast of Edinburgh. So I highly recommend it. But even if you're just doing something on a street corner, it's very exciting. And Edinburgh is a beautiful, wonderful city, and I love it. And I've always wanted to go for Hogmanay, but it's too fucking expensive. Um, so about my show is called Transvestigation, and it is August 25th at 7 p.m. at the Laurie Beechman Theater. It's basically, I've done a lot of cabaret and I do storytelling and characters and different things like that. And different, I've approached cabaret from many different angles, but I've been doing a lot of stand up that year. I did it last year, and I'd taken some classes, and I was working with great stand-ups and doing some stand-up. So it's a little more, it's storytelling, but a little more stand-up type. So what you learn in stand-up is, oh, your teacher will say, that's a very amusing story, but there's no punchlines. Where's the joke? So I'm learning how to tell a fun and funny story, and then in between those stories and those topics, I always talk about being a trans kid because it's so insane, you know, not matching, and you're like, oh shit, better not reach for a toy because you're going to reach for the wrong one. All that is crazy. And just top, I talking about what it was like to grow up in the 70s, it's fucking wild, right? Um, and then some songs, some standards. I do sing. I'm not a great singer, but I love to sing. And I love the standards. And it's a good time. I like to have a good time with the audience. And um, I get to wear a lot of makeup and dress in sequins, very opposite of Louise. I wasn't intending on doing any performances outside of O'Mary for a few months, but the Laurie Beachman is closing. So all the people that had done shows there over the years are coming back and doing a night. So they asked me to, and I said, sure.
Well, Bianca Leigh, thank you so much.
Oh, James, my pleasure, my pleasure.